Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen from the TechnicalTraders.com. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim.
Chris, has this been a wild and crazy July?
Man, it has been a very wild and crazy July for a lot of different plays, whether it's currencies and stocks and commodities and sectors and individual companies. I mean, it is like a landmine out there. Things are either doing exceptionally well or they're bombing, and we have headline news. I mean, geez, every day you wake up and you kind of like wonder what's going to hit the market that's going to move it for an intraday swing. And on top of that, pretty much every wave of selling just gets bought right back up, no matter how bad the news. So it's just been a pretty crazy market chopping around. And I mean, this week kickstarted the week with, Amazon and today we got IBM, all these big companies just driving the stock market up. And yesterday I kind of called it the stealth. It was kind of like a stealth sell-off yesterday because the leading sectors in the market, which with COVID is technology, healthcare, and we're seeing the miners, the gold miners really starting to perform well. And yesterday they were all up really big, driving all the indexes positive. But when you looked at all the other sectors, every sector was down. It was red. Most of them were down 1% or 1.5%. So it's really deceiving what this market is doing. Everyone thinks the stocks were up yesterday, but actually most of the stocks were down 1.5% in general, just because some big leading companies are kind of pulling the indexes up. And today's kind of the flip side. Tech's down and all the other sectors are up. And it's just really wild trading, that's for sure.
It's almost like the few big trades create a fog bank, so you can't really see what's going on behind it. And like you said, Monday, a negative day.
Exactly. And a lot of people didn't realize yesterday was actually it was a big selling day. Like there was a lot of selling going on, but just because a couple of big tech companies are positive, they pulled all the indexes up. And the average Joe doesn't realize there was a lot of selling yesterday. Most people's portfolios were actually probably down, even though the markets were up. And that's going to tell us we're in this kind of stock pickers, we're in this sector kind of rotational market condition where there's hot pockets and they're only hot for a bit and then they're not. So it's tough trading. And of course, COVID being favorable for technology is really masking kind of what I think the underlying situation of the economy is. You get these big tech companies in the States, they all are offshore, they don't pay any taxes, they're driving the stock prices up, but really America, there's millions, unbelievable amount of unemployed people, businesses going under. I mean, America's run by small businesses, but the stock market is completely masking all that. People think things are good, but I mean, they're not. So this stock market is very deceiving, and it is to what I think is a bubble. But you don't know when the bubble is going to burst. And the market always has a way of moving a lot further than you expect.
Now, if you had sold in May and gone away, as the saying goes, because usually in the stock market the summer is pretty dull, I would say this summer has been anything but dull. Yeah,
the sell in May, the market's up, the SP 500's up about 13% from May. It just kind of keeps on climbing and grinding its way higher. Now, there's a lot of really interesting technical analysis unfolding, and one of the really big things is the stock market, which I follow the SP 500 very closely. The SP 500, if you were to look at the SPY ETF, there was a huge gap in February, just the day that the stock market started to collapse. And on the S&P 500, we almost always see a gap fill, meaning price has to come back up and trade through that price that it completely missed back in February. And so as of yesterday, and today we started to fill that gap. So we're only a few percentage points away on the S&P 500 from filling a gap, which would look like a pretty significant double top if you were to look at the charts. So it's going to be very interesting how the market reacts over the next week or two here at this significant double top, this gap fill, and really with all the defensive sectors and stocks and bonds leading the way higher, you've got to wonder there's some serious underlying weakness in the stock market that it could collapse at any point.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, you were telling me just before we went on air that gold, silver, and miners have come into their own finally. Can you tell us that story?
Sure. Well, I mean, we've been seeing gold, really it broke into a bull market last July. Last June or July, you can argue which month it was, but it continues to move higher, and that is a very big sign globally that there's a lot of concern, not just with the U.S., but with a lot of other countries. So people have been moving slowly into precious metals, and only a couple of months ago, gold miners, the large cap gold stocks, broke into a bull market. And we're talking a multi-year bull market, and so that's really exciting to see both of those. And really only a couple of weeks ago, the small cap gold stocks broke into a bull market. And then today, this is Tuesday, July 21st, silver is up over 7%. It broke out of its basing formation, meaning it has now started a new bull market. And if this has legs, if it can hold up on a weekly basis above this resistance level, which is about $21 an ounce, then it could be off to the races like it did in 2010, where it could rally all the way straight up to, $48, $50 an ounce in a relatively short period of time over a few months. So there's some really big price action taking place in the precious metals sector. The fact that gold miners and silver are now in a bull market says, hey, that's a new hot pocket to be in, and bull markets typically last several years. So we could have a lot of upside potential while these continue to mature and increase in value with all the stimulus plans going on. I mean, talking about another $1 trillion in the U.S., maybe $3 trillion in stimulus. Europe, $850 billion in stimulus. I mean, all these things are very positive for precious metals.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. You mentioned the average Joe didn't know that the market actually had a down day yesterday deep underneath the bright lights and laser show. There's that whole new phenomena now, isn't it, though, where regular people are saying, oh, the market can't go anywhere but up, so I better get in, and are those people doing well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge flock of new money and new traders into the markets and day trading and trading education. I mean, really, it's just skyrocketed. Just so many people moving into it. And I taught a friend how to day trade, and he messages me like every morning when he's finished his morning at 10:30 or 11:30 and says how much he's made. And I mean, it's just incredible. There's millions of people day trading right now, and the market is prime for it. These times are what day traders just thrive in, and where you make a lot of money. But typically we only have a few small waves, a few weeks here and there every year that's really good for day trading. So the fact that we've got several months of this type of price action that's favorable, I mean, I have a feeling there's a little bit of a false belief, everyone getting in who are cleaning up day trading right now, because you have these strong trends that aren't just intraday swings. They're like trends that last all day or for several hours. And, the SP 500 used to move, 8 or 14 points in a day, and you got to try and scrape some money out of there, and stocks are moving, 0.5% or 1% a day. Well, here we've got, the index is moving 100 points a day, and stocks moving 10 or so percent. So it's a very easy market for day trading, but the market is not always like this. And I think when things eventually calm down, which I don't know if they're really going to calm down this year with the election, all that stuff going on later, eventually it'll die down. And the big question will be like, how do you perform when there's very low volatility and the markets barely move, breakouts don't work? So it's prime trading right now. Suck it up while you can for day trading, but it's not always like this.
How many people have quit their job to do this?
Oh, yeah, I don't know, but I know
back.
There's millions of them. Jeez, all around the world, too. It's not just, centralized. It's people all around the world trading the markets now.
Chris, what's happening in oil and gas?
Well, oil is having a nice pop today. I talked about it with subscribers, how it's got this it is in an uptrend, but it has a pattern here. It just filled a gap window that it did back in February, much like I talked about with the SP 500. That gap got filled, and it looks like this week we're going to see a little bit of a short squeeze, a pop in price, which I talked about with subscribers this morning. We're looking for oil to pop a little bit more, maybe $44, $45 a barrel, and then I think we could see a big reversal. And if we get a reversal from there to the downside, I think there's a great opportunity for falling prices in crude and falling energy stocks sector. So I like crude. It's got to form a nice clear pattern. I feel like if it can give us that reversal, we're going to see a pretty big correction in crude. But again, you got to let the pattern play out and see if that's going to unfold.
Is a hot summer in the East boosting natural gas prices?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but natural gas has been forming this beautiful basing formation. It's trying to carve out a multi-year low. Natural gas is tough to trade long term because the ETFs are terrible the way they're designed. They lose value every day almost. But natural gas looks like it's putting in a major bottom. We've seen a nice move to the upside in late June. And overall, I think we're going to see much higher natural gas prices. But we do need to see natural gas get back above $2 going forward here, which will clear its basing formation. Once it does that, it's pretty much starting a new uptrend that could be very significant back into the $3 range. So a lot of upside potential in natural gas if it can break out of this bottoming formation.
What's going on with Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin is it's having a nice update today, up 6%, and it continues to consolidate through this kind of sideways pennant formation. Now, last time you and I talked, it was still in this pattern. We're getting right into the apex, meaning price has been squeezing into a point, and it's on the verge of breaking out of that trading range. whichever way it breaks, it's going to be a big move. Right now it's trading at 9,400. If it breaks to the upside here, it's pretty much going to go to 14,000. That's the next upside target. So this is a big pattern. This is like a 50% potential move in Bitcoin if it breaks to the upside. Now, if it does break to the downside, we're probably going to see it pull all the way down to around the 7,000, maybe 7,500 level. So there's a lot of built-up energy, lots of potential in Bitcoin. It's just the big question is, which way is it going to break? And is it going to break in a way that you can get in without having to chase it? Because a lot of times we'll see Bitcoin pop and run $500 or $1,000 in one day, and I don't like to chase trades. So if something moves $1,000 in a day, 12, 13%, I don't really want to jump on and chase it. And Bitcoin has a tendency of doing that. And so does silver. They both move the same way. You see the pattern, you're kind of waiting for which way it's going to go, and then boom, this big bar happens, and you either have to chase it and take on more risk, or you just got to pass and hope for a better setup another time.
So, Chris, how would you sum up what's happening right now? If you snooze, you lose. You better be fast and nimble.
Yeah, it's a really tough market to trade. It is continuing to go higher. There's a lot of risk as the SP 500 gets up to fill this gap window, because the market is now getting back up into a short-term overbought territory. We got all these stimulus plans and the vaccine news coming out, which is really helping support prices and create these waves. I mean, there's such a huge amount of money flowing into the market. Every dip is getting bought, so you can't really fight the trend. Yesterday the SP 500 started to break to the upside. Looks like it could go up and fill the gap or test the February highs. NASDAQ's still bullish. I mean, you gotta either be in cash and conservative here, because something big is about to happen. The fact that all the safe havens and defensive plays are outperforming. This almost always happens before a bear market in the equities, which is what I've been concerned and thinking is going to happen sometime this year. So I'd just be very aware that risk is high. You can take part in this rally, but I'd keep exposure fairly low until we see things kind of take more of a breather, and we see maybe the SP 500 break to new highs and start to show signs of higher highs. Because right now we're still in no man's land in terms of market internals. There's a majority of stocks are trading lower on the year, and that's not a good sign if stocks are making new highs, when really the majority are actually the index is making new highs while the majority of stocks are making new lows. That's a bearish divergence. That's a sign that a big drop is near. So I'd just be very cautious as a trader. Get involved, but keep positions small.
Chris, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jim. Always a pleasure.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen from the technicaltraders.com. If you have any questions for Chris or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.